You ain't so tough with that bad boy talk. Testing.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy talk. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought.
Yo, what's going on, guys? How's it going? And welcome on back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. I do hope you're doing well, mate. I really do hope that. Welcome back to Chelsea News, the daily series here, of course, on the channel, where I reflect on the news regarding the Blues, giving you my thoughts on it, but as always, more importantly, asking for yours. Earlier today, I released a sort of additional video, not a Chelsea news video, just me sort of venting, speaking about the Chelsea situation at large, top to bottom. Like many Chelsea fans, frustrated. It's over 20 minutes. If you are interested in that kind of long-form piece of content, go check it out. Because I cover a lot of stuff. But in today's video, I do want to speak a little bit more about the fallout, because a lot of Chelsea fans are understandably turning on the current Chelsea manager, Enzo Maresca. Boy, what a season it's been, up and down with him. As well as some, shocking numbers that sort of highlight the issues with Chelsea Football Club. Of course, we are looking at three key positions to hopefully solve glaring massive issues, which of course are striker, obviously, central defender, which over time, as we see, frailties through these young defenders. I mean, Tosin, he's older, but he's not Chelsea starting quality, is he? He's a good rotational option. Apparently he's a good professional and stuff, but I mean, come on. And yeah, someone at the back end, of course, a player that I love, Wesley Fofana. His injury record, it just can't be trusted. And we know we're going in for a winger. And possibly, the goalkeeper situation hasn't been ruled out. But Georgi Petrovic seemingly is far, far ahead of the guy we've currently got between the sticks today. So we're going to get into that. I want to tell you a couple of these stats. I want to sort of... Also, I want to bring up Palmer, because that seems to be a big talking point again across social media. How Palmer had a record-breaking season under Pochettino, and he's not. He's creating a lot of chances. He's created the most amount of chances in Europe or something, which might feed into this stat. I'm going to let you know in just a moment. But there is concerns, concerns from Chelsea fans, rightly, about the potential regression in certain players. We're going to get into all of it today, guys. Thanks for joining me. Welcome back to Football Therapy. Daily content here regarding Chelsea. Of course, should you find yourself interested, why not subscribe? And thanks for liking the video. All right, mate. So, off the bat, Who Scored published this statistic today, this afternoon, I believe. Chelsea Football Club have missed the most amount of big chances in the Premier League, more than any other team, and that is, wait for it, and these are big chances, so these aren't just half chances of, low value shots, low value XGs. These are big chances which you should be tucking away. Chelsea have missed the most with 73. 73. This isn't created, because we've scored some. This is big chances missed. 73 big chances, which is mental. I mean, yesterday against Ipswich, Nicholas Jackson had 5 shots off target against Ipswich. No player has had more misses off target in a Premier League match this season. Now, I am going to play devil's advocate for and against Maresca. I think it would be silly to sack him personally, and like I said in my Football Therapy Yannick's therapy video earlier, the players seem to really, really like Maresca, and there is something to be said. If he's working comfortably within the hierarchy and they're supporting him and the players really like him, there's a lot to be said. But of course, what's paramount is Chelsea win. Top of the tree, mate. Or we can have all the happy sunshines and rainbows and cuddles all you want behind the scenes. If you don't win football matches, none of that matters. None of that matters. But the fact remains, Chelsea are creating a lot of chances. Now, the defence of Enzo Maresca in this situation would be, I don't think he was hired as a finishing coach for Chelsea. I think he was hired as a first-team coach to set the team up to create chances, big chances, for players to score. And I think Chelsea have created the second or third and most amount of chances in the league, and possibly more for big chances, but missed by far the most amount of big chances. Now, for me personally, that's down to the players. And if upon closer inspection, yeah, it's poor squad building. I like Nicholas Jackson. I think for 29 million quid, he was a good squad signing. I think he's better than Michy Batshuayi, especially due to his age profile as well. He's very young, Jackson. I think he's better. I think he's a better second choice option. Some of you may disagree than Loic Remy, purely because of how he helps the team play, and he's not just a poacher. He's definitely not a poacher. So I like him, but that's it. Like, where's the seniority? Where's the guys like actually I score all the time? And if you look, upon reflection, guys, like this is the biggest travesty for me. How we've got this guy up front, a player I like, but to rely on him as Chelsea's number 9, and the guy between the sticks and Rob Sanchez. That's a travesty for Chelsea. Chelsea Football Club. You know, to like the ex-United pundits. This is Manchester United we're talking about. It very much applies here. This is Chelsea Football Club we're talking about. They bought Jackson, and bless him, this is nothing. This is, you know, like all the other young players, Chelsea come along, of course, they're going to say yes, they're going to put the shirt on, they're going to think they made it. Do you know what I mean? But Jackson was only recently converted to a centre-forward for about 6 months in his entire professional career. He was a winger, and they put him down the middle, and suddenly he was running hot. I showed you the stats recently. He was overperforming his expected goals, and that was the only period in his career. Ever since, as a centre-forward, certainly as Chelsea, he's been underperforming his expected goals. His finishing isn't good. And we're relying on him and Palmer, who I'll speak about in just a moment, to do bits. So in terms of the manager, it's been frustrating to watch at times. I absolutely think he's done himself no favours with how he's talked of late. But I think he, you know, and the whole right backs thing. He plays 3 right backs against Warsaw. He didn't play 1 in the Premier League when we're chasing Champions League football. Yeah, mental. I'm sure he's got his own thoughts and ideas of the tactical setup. But I would play a right back. Yeah, I would play a right back for Chelsea. I'm just telling you now, I'm nailing my colours to that mast, especially when you've got a Reece James, or I know Gusto's had a terrible season, but I'd play him as a conventional right back. But then again, you stick crosses in the box. To who? We've already seen Jackson's underperformance as a centre forward, let alone scoring headers. Don't trust him at all for headers. There's no one in there. Literally no one in there. No one in there, bro, for crosses. So maybe, yeah, because Gusto doesn't score himself as a fullback. He still hasn't scored for Chelsea, Pochettino or Maresca. Broadly speaking, and again, you know, because guys, don't get it twisted. We are in awful form. I haven't actually watched listened to the podcast episode yet, but my friends on London is Blue, I saw the clip on socials that in the last 15 games we've taken 19 points, which is mental. And that's 15 games. That's best part of half a season. It is literally half a season. Which brings me to a lot of people speaking about Pochettino, with very not necessarily revisionism, because it's people's choice to have, everyone has their own opinion. But Palmer was excellent under Pochettino. Now, it's worth mentioning, Palmer's been very firm on how he likes Maresca. To an authentic degree. I've been covering Chelsea for a long, long time. Players say generic, nice, media-trained things about managers, and then they talk glowingly about coaches, which they're doing here about Maresca. And of course, I've referenced that clip of Eden Hazard and Reece James, Chelsea captain, and how he sort of his eyes lit up when he spoke about Maresca in comparison to Pochettino from last season. So players like him. But Pochettino got Palmer cooking, yeah? And I think that's largely because we play this sort of high-octane, high-risk, transitional football, which I don't like for Chelsea. My opinion, yeah? My opinion. I want Chelsea to win the Premier League. It seems like a lofty ambition at the moment. We seem far. But that's what I want for Chelsea. I don't want us to try and, become Arsenal of the last 20 years. I want Chelsea to win the Premier League. And we need to play controlling football to a degree. but we need experienced players to score goals. That's my opinion. Everyone's entitled to their opinions. I don't think high-risk transitional football gets you much past the top 6. Obviously, we finished in the top 6 under Pochettino. Also, if you want Pochettino to come back and manage Chelsea, fine. I don't. I think he's peaked as a manager. I think he's a really good guy and connects to the players well. But we need to bear in mind as well, yeah, you can say Maresca out and you can pick a manager. If they sacked Maresca today and says, we've only done this because we've got Xabi Alonso and he'll start tomorrow, I'll go, woohoo! Do you know what I mean? I'm not like some blind, devout Maresca believer or truther. I just think it's a very tricky situation with lacking in experience, and the finishing stats is absolutely insane. Look, we can talk about I've spoken about Rob Sanchez until the cows come home. It's shaving years off my life. I think it's an absolute travesty and crime that this guy is the Chelsea Football Club first choice goalkeeper. I think it's mental, personally. You know, Onana at Man United, Sanchez at Chelsea. It's all banter. Especially when you look at Georgi Petrovic, who's got, like, amazing European stats. The good thing about this is, guys, he is a Chelsea goalkeeper, Georgi Petrovic, and he can return and play in goal. Apparently, Mike Penders is the second coming of Courtois. I'll believe it when I see it. But at least there are options in the bank that we're seeing are doing well. I don't see a centre forward. I mean, apart from good youth academy centre forwards, I don't see a centre forward on loan somewhere. You know, Datro Fofana didn't go to Lyon and has scored 25 league goals, and we're going to get him. Do you know what I mean? Like, we don't have that, so we need to buy a striker. I have a degree of sympathy for Maresca. I do think he's done a lot wrong, both tactically in selection and how he's handled the media. But I think he's done some stuff right, and I think it could work. With Palmer, of course, has played under Maresca at Man City. And for all you guys saying, oh, put Palmer on the right wing, Palmer has said himself in an interview prior to Maresca's arrival when he knew he was coming, oh yeah, Maresca was the guy who originally put me on the right wing. So he's done it before. He was the guy who made Palmer a right winger. I personally think Palmer plays better inside in such a way where he can play in runners, you know, and stuff like that, and actually have a bit more freedom. And to be honest, I do think the whole Palmer dip in form is it's just this confidence dip. I think he's fallen victim to the Chelsea collective dip in form, and he totally understandably, I'd never dig him out for this, has just got himself stuck in a bit of a rut. I'm sure if you said, if Pochettino came back and said, right, here we're going to go, lads, you're going to all bomb forward, you know, Palmer's going to drop into space, just playing runners constantly, we'll concede 2 or 3 goals a game, and you might say, you know, fine. Well, after that Ipswich performance, that is the better option, by the way. That Pochettino, like, you know, risky ball is the better option than what we saw against Ipswich. But in terms of, like, long-term success and continuity and just my blood pressure, a more controlling style. Again, it's really worth mentioning, everything affiliated to this club, apart from the fans, the crest, you know, and the stadium, everything could just go tomorrow and I'd be like, whatever. I'll just hope for the best for Chelsea moving forwards. But the truth is, if I take a sort of deep breath and look at what I've seen all season and look at just adding certain players, you know, a striker, a goalkeeper, even if it's just the goalkeeper is just Georgi Petrovic coming back, and we spend good money on a striker that can just, you know, that can not put us in a position where we've missed 73 big chances in the Premier League alone. That's mental. That is mental, you know? I mean, we have been missing chances for a long time, even back to like the Tuchel era. It was a problem. I know football fans have got short memories, but yeah, we did, especially domestically, we had huge problems of missing chances in the Premier League, but we were defensively good, of course. Well, maybe not towards the end of it did fall apart a little bit under Tuchel domestically. But yeah, this is a long-standing problem. We just need some big boys in there. I don't think Maresca, as a coach, has said, sign me exclusively children that are going to miss all the big chances that my tactics create for them. I think he's just gone, oh, I get a chance to manage Chelsea, this is wicked. I will work within the parameters of this hierarchy. And unless we completely fall off a cliff this season and the players turn against him, I'm gonna support the manager until I see him with what I deem an appropriate, fit-for-purpose squad. Until then, I think it's just more damage to my beloved football club to just constantly change everything all the time. Yeah. It's going to be very, very interesting. Guys, if you haven't watched that long video I did, go check it out. I have sort of personally conceded Champions League football, and I just don't think this team are equipped to play Champions League football. I don't think they're good enough, personally, to be brutally honest. I think, they're too good for the conference. I think they could be contenders in Europa League and contenders for top 4 next season if they get the players they need. But yeah, I think this season could be a step forward in a couple of ways in terms of, moving in some direction, learning a bit more about players, not as fast as we would have liked. But we will learn a lot in the final games of the season. Because I know we've got no reason to believe, the players seem to believe in themselves, but if they beat Newcastle and Forest and, a Liverpool that's already won the league, if that's possible by then, I'm not sure. Quids in, mate, but I don't know. I am going to follow all the stories here on Chelsea News. I totally understand why there's a massive divide on Maresca. I respect all opinions. If you can, as a viewer, if you can try and employ the same stance, position, then football fandom will be a better place. But I will follow all the stories, the linked players. We'll look at their stats. We'll do sort of scouting reports. We'll speak about how we could play moving forwards, a little bit of old school football therapy stuff. But it's tough at the moment, and I get it. Everyone's annoyed. We will see. Guys, thank you as always for your support. I do feel it. Lots of nice messages and comments, and lots of nice people reaching out on social media. So thank you for all that. And yeah, let's stick together. Peace.